Recognizing that there are many ways to enhance the quality of life in Lorain County, both concretely and spiritually, the Women's Fund assists and supports through philanthropy, grant making, and education, artistic, social, and educational projects that help the citizens in our neighborhoods to grow and become stronger.
The Women's Fund was kind of a brainstorm of a group of women back in the early 90s. Two things really bubbled up. One, in the early 90s, there was no dedicated fund in all of Lorain County for girl and women-focused programs to go to. They were vying for funding in the general pool of funds. So that was probably the first reason. The second reason was that back in the 90s, women in philanthropy was an oddity. Women did not go out and fundraise, and women on their own did not make donations to funds. It was usually in conjunction with their husbands. Well, certainly, going back 20 years ago when we raised that $20,000, which to us seemed like a very large amount of money. Today, the fund has grown to over $100,000. And certainly, if we look at the support in the donors and the support in the fundraisers, we are bringing in many, many women from throughout Lorain County. And I think what makes me smile the most is that it is the younger women who have embraced this fund.
With the support of the Women's Fund here at Community Foundation, I have been able to see those who are underserved be able to receive benefits from the Women's Fund. What the Women's Fund means to me is that it's a group of women who are coming together to work as a whole to help the entire community as far as for women and girls, because sometimes that is something that's under the radar for our community. And so I feel as though with the Women's Fund coming together, they will work on philanthropy with the amount of money that they have.
When we look for new members for our committee, we look for people who are committed to helping women realize their full potential and also help girls recognize their dreams and bring those to fruition. We have two signature events currently that are our own. In January this year, we had our second pajama party. This was done more to raise awareness of people of the Women's Fund and who we are and what we do, but we do this in conjunction with Genesis House. This came from an idea from a magazine article I read of a woman who started a program in Iowa, and we brought together this year 300 women. Each brought, as the price of admission, an item to donate to Genesis House. And I believe we just totally exceeded their expectations in what we were able to raise to give. There again, I think proving the generosity of the women of this community. Our other signature event is a fundraiser for our fund and also a friend-raiser, and that's called The Power of the Purse, and we have that usually the end of April each year, and again this year. And that's a chance for women to come together and network, have dinner, shop, visit some informational tables and pick up information on things they might be looking for. Just a nice night out and a chance to learn more about the Women's Fund and the work that we are doing in the community. I've never worked with such a amazing group of women. The way we get together, we come together, we do everything on a consensus basis, and sometimes we struggle with that, but in the end, we always come together as a group and get it done.
My hopes for the future of the Women's Fund is that the little ripples that we've started grow and move outward and gather speed so that soon we'll have hundreds of women and thousands of women working together for the community. The different women's organizations that are within the community need to start working more together, and I think that that'll make a huge impact in general in the community and in Lorain County. For people to be involved with the Women's Fund, we're of course looking for that kind of caring. We look for women who care, women with compassion, women who are willing to give of themselves and work together to leave their egos at the door. It's not about trying to build a resume or look what I've done. It's just a commitment to the community, to other women, to people who are less fortunate. That's the type of woman we're looking for. It's just ordinary women who really want to make a difference in the world. The best way to learn more is to go to www.peoplewhocare.org. There's a huge website that talks not only about the Women's Fund, but about the other affiliate funds of the Community Foundation. There you'll find events, ways to get involved, ways to start a living legacy. If you want to make donations, there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of different subject matters at that website.
The entire community benefits when you help the daughters, mothers, aunts, nieces, friends, and neighbors throughout Lorain County to grow and reach their full potential.
The Women's Fund at the Community Foundation has supported the Headed for Success program at Big Brothers Big Sisters. And what that means is that girls in junior high and high school and their mentors are able to learn about things that are extremely important at this developmental stage. We had created Headed for Success a couple years ago using a state grant, and the state grant allowed for us to do a lot of things and to get this thing put together. It didn't, however, cover any food or any of the basic things like tickets to do something. So the Women's Fund at that time supported the program. Essentially saved Headed for Success. We would not have Headed for Success if it wasn't for the Women's Fund. The ultimate effect on the community is more girls who become women, who believe in themselves and their ability.
The Women's Fund of Community Foundation has been such a blessing to Genesis House. We've used, in the past year, they've done 2 really big projects for us. One was the pajama party, which was so much fun, and it was the 2nd year in a row. It doubled the number of people attending, and we got enough of our needed supplies for probably the whole year. We had 5 bulging cars full. We had to call someone else to come in to take all the wish list items back. The other thing that the Women's Fund did was they gave us a small grant to refurbish our Silent Witness exhibit. And it wasn't that it was a lot of money, but it was money we didn't have and we hadn't budgeted for. And it enables us to do more community outreach in the community. And we take it to schools. We have it up for the whole month of October. And it's a very important, powerful part of our outreach program. So for the future, we see the Women's Fund working hand in hand with Genesis House. We're such great partners, and just like our pajama party, we doubled in size. We had twice as many contacts just by partnering with the Women's Fund. And I think that people saw it was a fun way to support an agency. And we weren't just asking for money, we were asking for to come and have a good time and support us.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about the history of the Women's Fund. It's actually a pretty great story. The Women's Fund was created by Carol Simonetti, who was the executive director at the Community Foundation, and Phyllis DeMark, who was working with an education project back in 1991. And they created it as a way to encourage women to help build this community endowment that we call the Community Foundation. And also to be able to make grants to projects that directly impacted women and girls in Lorain County. They brought a group of women together to serve as the initial advisory board to help grow this fund. And they did some great stuff until about 1995. Carol left to pursue another career, and the group kind of disbanded and didn't have that group of women to steward it. The beauty of the story is that as part of the Community Foundation, the fund was still there and active, and the Community Foundation continued to invest the money. We got new gifts to the fund every year, and we made grants to benefit women and girls in Lorain County, even though there wasn't a group to oversee it. In 2005, two of the staff at the Community Foundation said, you know, maybe it's time to reinvigorate this thing. And so they invited a group of women to come together, and the Women's Fund had a new advisory board. And since that time, we've had a group of women that have been working to do a couple of things. One is to help grow the fund by encouraging women to give and to consider planned gifts to help grow this endowment, and secondly, to find some of the best ways that we can use the grants to impact the lives of women and girls in Lorain County. The Community Foundation of Lorain County has a fundamental belief that this thing that we call philanthropy, giving back to our community, should be as close to the people that are going to benefit and can help build the foundation and the endowment as possible. So we've got a very decentralized process. We've got a number of affiliate funds that focus on making giving back as connected to people as possible. Women's Fund is one of those funds that's been around since 1991. We know that people give for different reasons and in different ways. Giving for men is different than giving for women. We have different giving patterns in our communities of color, and there's certainly age differences. And so having an advisory board, a group of women that can shepherd this fund and really figure out how to make it connect with the people of Lorain County is ultimately going to help us grow the endowment so that we can continue to make extremely impactful grants and change the lives of women and girls in Lorain County.
The Women's Fund needs your help to make more grants supporting women in our community. Be the candle that lights the way for Lorain County's women and girls.